What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal. It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, back once again. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, or I should say Happy Toku Tuesday, as we're here to go ahead and dive into Mashin Sentai Kiramager, episode number 44, the penultimate episode. I honestly just love that word in particular, penultimate. I love the penultimate episode before we actually get into the season finale next weekend. Unfortunately, I'm definitely gonna have my tissues ready. If this episode was sort of any indication of just the emotional ups and downs that we've been getting over the past several episodes here, yeah, I'm probably gonna have my tissues ready for next weekend, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But listen, we at least have one episode left to go, but episode 44 needs to be talked about, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm definitely going to be breaking it down for you guys. So spoiler alert, if you haven't had the opportunity to watch Kiramager episode number 44, maybe check it out first, then come back and certainly watch this episode if you certainly have not done so as of yet. And then, of course, if we do have any live viewer questions, we'll go ahead and take them towards the end of this show, guys. But listen, I got to tell you, the momentum continues to build for Kiramager. They're truly going out with a bang. When I started this particular episode, and the very first shot that I see is in fact sort of just a rainy, dreary sort of day, I immediately knew what type of episode we were certainly going to be getting in here, man. They immediately sort of set the tone and set you up for what the rest of this episode is going to be like, and it did not disappoint. The script was actually pretty brilliant, I felt like. I thought the dialogue in this episode was handled pretty well. There are a couple of lines from Garza that I had to write down because I absolutely loved in here. I thought the direction in here was relatively great, like just some of the really clever editing choices that they had, some really fantastic shots, honestly. Yeah, just the emotional ups and downs sort of roller coasters, right? To the point of being bummed and sad and, you know, hurt and things like that, to being just joyous and just over thrilled. I mean, this episode genuinely had a little bit of everything that you can certainly ask for. It definitely felt very much like we're getting into this very final story arc here for you guys, a two-parter, if you will. And I knew exactly what I was getting, man. I mean, not only that, right? Not just overall about how great the episode itself certainly was, but just from the opening sequence where you have the rain, you have our Kiramagers who are sulking, who are clearly grieving over the loss of Juru, them having to break the news to Fire of all people, right? And then to sort of round out that opening intro with just the wailing and the crying of Fire for the sadness that is losing Juru, his partner, and things like that. Hearing Fire just sort of scream and wail out like that in anguish and hurt, it kind of gave me chills, honestly. I kind of had some goosebumps because I'd never heard him like that sort of all season long. So fantastic way to just start it off. And then, mind you, right after that, it just goes to that sort of dark energy, Jotunheim sort of back screen, and then you get the Kiramager logo revealed and things like that. And we didn't even get like the opening theme song at all. Like, that's how serious this episode certainly took itself. It was like, we're not playing games here anymore. We're going to punch you in the face with some emotion, and we're just going to continue to ride this roller coaster ride. And I loved it. I love just doing something unique and different, giving us the logo and let's go type of thing. You know what I mean? So really doing a fantastic job of using all the time that's been given to you to truly flesh out a great story. And I thought they did a remarkable job in here. And while we do get the opportunity to see our Kiramagers crying, we do see that they need to eventually snap out of it. I love the fact that it's Shiguru of all people that's really telling everybody, like, look, I'm as hurt as the rest of you. I miss Juru also, but we also have to get down to business, right? We still have to go ahead and focus on the fight. It's certainly what Juru would definitely want. And what I loved about this particular scene in general, not because Cena's also in it, but I love the fact that she's so ready to get on board with this idea of like, yes, let's get everybody together. Let's do this. And I just love her reaction when she says, you know, the idea of coming up with a plan. She's like, Tommy Tomo, like this is your alley. And what I loved about it is she's absolutely right. If we've watched this whole entire season, the one thing that I continue to say about Tomitomo, he's a fantastic sort of game planner, right? If you need somebody to put together a plan or come up with an idea, he's the guy to certainly do it, and to put all the pieces in place and have everybody do what they're great at. That's exactly what Tomitomo is, right? That's what makes him shine out of all these other Kiramagers. That's why they brought him on board, right, from the esports team. He knows how to put together a game plan and execute it to perfection, sort of thing. So I love the fact that it's Cena who understands that even though she's excited and she wishes she had the plan, she knows exactly whose strength that is on the team and ultimately directs it to us. And Tomitomo has a plan, and it's a rather brilliant plan, to say the least. It's one that I was really on board with. I probably would have made a couple of changes here and there, but even though it didn't necessarily work the way that they probably fully wanted it to, I honestly still thought it was a great game plan, right? Because we knew that Yodana and Yodon were going to press the Kiramagers for their Granterstones. They know that they have to continue to push the Kiramagers, and Tomitomo certainly expects that. So why not use the Granterstones against them? So we had, let's see here, we wind up having Energia, which the plan was to give King Orden the extra power so that he could hopefully imprison Emperor Yodon. And they weren't quite sure if that was even going to be enough power, but they were hoping a Granterstone would certainly help out with that. Once he's in prison, the idea was then to use Destoria to go ahead and pretty much just destroy him, just crack him, you know, whatever the case may be, out of existence from that imprisonment sort of thing. So we see that clearly the Energia certainly didn't work at first, at least, until he turns into Yodana's form, and then it all starts working. The idea also for Reversia, which I honestly thought when he was looking at the command center, when he was looking at the footage of Yodana, I remember that scene specifically because she winds up sort of calling a timeout between the battle between Juru and whoever the Marsk Beast was. That might have been Shadone, if I'm not mistaken. And she, or maybe it was somebody else, I can't quite recall, but she interrupts the battle to come and grab the Granterstone herself, and then winds up leaving, if I'm not mistaken. I honestly thought he was going to use Reversia to go back into time, or to that very particular moment, and take the Alucia Granterstone for himself. That wasn't the plan, though. That wasn't the plan, but it might as well just been as good, because he used that Reversa to go ahead and change Emperor Yodon into Yodana also. So I thought his plan for the most part was relatively great, but unfortunately it just didn't work the way that they certainly wanted to. And shout out has to go out to just the amazing battle sequences that we wind up having in here, man. I mean, you know, I know I made fun of Emperor Yodon for not looking like he had any legs for like the longest time, but he can get down on the battlefield, man. He was giving everybody more than they could certainly handle. I really thought that the fight scene was pretty incredible between not only the Zords, you know, clearly between the Zords and Emperor Yodon, from just Takamichi's incredible entrance as he exits the hospital and he winds up getting his giant driller to just cut off that huge tentacle. I thought that was pretty brilliant, to get the opportunity to see Fire and the rest of the gang just rushing into battle finally once they kind of got all their wits about them and things like that. So yeah, from that to seeing just the incredible power that Emperor Yodon certainly possessed with his Yodon destruction, or whatever, like this big old like earth bomb that he was creating, or whatever the case may be. Epic stuff, man. But the city was damn near destroyed, to say the least. You know, it's funny to me because I laugh at people when they you know, back when this is a little off topic, but back when Man of Steel wind up first coming out, right? I remember hearing a ton of people complain about the levels of destruction that Superman and Zod wind up having to the city of Metropolis. Like, Metropolis was laid out after Man of Steel, and there were some people that were complaining that was like too much destruction. Those people should not watch Super Sentai, because this whole entire city was destroyed. I mean, it looked like somebody dropped a freaking nuke in it. I don't even know how many casualties are in Japan. At this point, like, Japan should just be like completely closed off to the public. Like, nobody should be allowed to live there, as dangerous as it certainly is at that point. So it's like, it's pretty crazy to me to kind of see how it all plays out. But this city was destroyed way, but in fantastic fashion, because we did have some amazing Megazord battles in here. But one of the highlights definitely has to go to the idea here that, should I go to that? You know what? We'll stick with the battle for a second. We'll stick with the Megazord battle because I do want to talk a little bit about fire here. One of the things that definitely jumped out at me in this episode, outside of Juru, which we'll certainly talk about here in just a second, I really loved just how they portrayed fire in here, and just giving him the opportunity to really showcase huge levels of emotion. His pleads for Juru were just heartbreaking, honestly. Hearing him calling out his name as the rest of the gems kind of believe that maybe he was just sort of emotionally out of it, if you will. We kind of see all episode long Fire just kind of saying Juru's name here or there. And you come to find out from Mabushina that he's clearly trying to reach out to him. You know what I mean? He definitely has a determination to try and reach out to Juru, because he honestly believes that Juru certainly is alive. Despite not being able to make any sort of communication with him, he certainly still believes that he is. But I love what they've just done kind of all season long about the idea of allowing us to kind of build these attachments with these gems. There are moments where, yes, I would like to have seen maybe a little bit more of those connections between the gems and the Kiramagers. But when you already have 5, 6 Kiramagers that you need to kind of build up storyline wise, there's only but so much that you can probably do with the gemstones, if you will. But the times we certainly have seen Juru and Fire together several times, the one that always continues to pop to the forefront of my mind is just the rap battle episode that we had, where we had Juru and Fire rapping against each other for a little bit there also. But I just thought that throughout the season, they definitely have done enough in regards to building the attachments between our Kiramagers and their gems to really warrant just the idea of how impactful the Kiramagers are to these gems. We've seen it all season long with how much Mach just absolutely loves Cena, right? How adorable Seo's mech thinks that she certainly is, right? We've also had Jetter, who just admires his big brother type of thing, right? So these clearly immediate connections in here. And when it comes to Fire, who, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Juru was probably the last Kiramager that was in fact selected for this team, right? So Fire really spent a lot of energy and focus on making sure that he found the one for him, right? And so to kind of feel like your counterpart has been stripped or taken away from you, especially when the idea of knowing that you weren't there to try and prevent it or to help him or save him type of thing, I can see why Fire would be as emotional as he was here in this episode. And to just add to that level of heartbreak this week, I thought the voice actor for Fire just really brought it, honestly. And I thought that Fire's story was really handled well. And because of those attachments, it's when Juru does wind up arriving towards the end of this episode that just makes it all the better, to be perfectly honest with you. When you come to see who it is that attacks Emperor Yodon, so he drops this gigantic bomb on himself and really takes him out of commission for a while, we get the opportunity to see that it's the smog steamer that's certainly back. It's Garza's train that winds up coming through this portal, and it's being controlled none other by Juru. And this goes back to one of the ideas about why I love this episode, or one of the aspects, just the amazing directing work, right? The idea of having this long out shot, seeing Juru kind of just dropped onto this rooftop, and at the same time as he's running towards the rooftop, as he's running towards the edge of the rooftop, the camera winds up zooming in. It just really makes for a very impactful and just sort of epic return. Just to see the levels of emotion and determination on Juru's face was actually really brilliant. And honestly, Ryo Kamayo, who plays Juru in here, has a fantastic smile that I feel like honestly just brightens up the entire room. So when Juru returns and he's got that sort of meaningful run, ready to go ahead and get back into action and tell his friends that he's here, and he smiles in the camera, you can't help but just be thrilled to see the guy, honestly, right? So when we get the opportunity to see our Kiramagers expressing all their emotions, the gemstones wanting to hug him sort of thing, I can totally get behind it, man. I could totally get behind it. An honorable mention goes out to Shiguru with the ugly cry, man. I mean, the one again, the attributes of these characters continue to just showcase themselves all season long. With Tomitomo, it's easily the idea of him being a leader, right? And clearly, he's got some humorous aspects to him too. But when it comes to Shiguru, the idea that he is so open when it comes to his like how he expresses himself, if you will, right? Like he can be a little bit over the top with some of his expressions, and I love the fact of seeing him just wailing the way that he did. He's like, I had so much faith you'd be alive, and he just breaks down with his ugly cry. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, but really meaningful stuff here between to see Tomitomo, bringing in Juru for a hug sort of thing, and Fire and Gem, and all the other gems wanting to be around him. I just thought it was a really brilliant sort of build up towards his return and conclusion in here also. We also get to see Carantula. Quick honorable mention for Carantula also, who winds up giving them the Alusha Granterstone, clearly one of their plans. Once they realized that Emperor Yodon wind up leaving his Granterstone behind, they clearly went ahead and stole theirs and brought it back into their world. So that was a pretty neat surprise also. So as of right now, it feels as though they have all the Granterstones in their possession. Now, they have used at least two of them, the Energia and the Reversia Granterstone. So I don't know how long it's going to take for those to get their color and their shine back. But at this particular point in time, they've got all the Granterstones in their possession. So I'm really eager to see how this is all going to go down. But I do also have to go ahead and talk a little bit about Garza here because of the fact that Juru let everybody else know the reason why he survived at the end of the day was in fact Garza. The idea that Garza sort of sacrificed himself, sacrificed his body per se, but took his soul out and put it inside of the smog steamer also. When I think of this, I just think of what King Ordon certainly did with his spirit, if you will, putting it inside the greater Phoenix also. So that's sort of what it reminds me of, honestly. But I thought it was a great entrance in here from Juru to go ahead and jump off of the steamer. I honestly wasn't expecting that at all. And really just the idea of Garza being able to have some sort of redemption story, right? Like one of the things about episode 43 that we talked about was just how criminal it was of Emperor Yodon to just sort of take this kid's life away from him before he even got the opportunity to truly experience it, right? He was just a very creative child, very happy child with smiles and laughs and coming up with brilliant artwork and things like that, right? So clearly a very bright future. The guy was supposed to go on to become a legendary hero according to King Ordon. So to have somebody as evil and vile as Emperor Yodon come in and strip that innocence away from him and let him live this lie for the rest of his life, just heartbreaking stuff, man. Absolutely torturous. So I'm glad that after the events of episode 43 that there is an opportunity for Garza to redeem himself in here, right? The idea of saving Juru, allowing Juru to have that opportunity to go ahead and take down Emperor Yodon. And I love the fact that he continues to inspire him and gives him fantastic advice to continue to be creative and draw and inspire as much as he possibly can. But I love just his quote, two lines that he actually wind up having in here. And again, I love the dialogue for this episode. But he says, talking about his brother, he says, I hope that next time we can be brothers on better terms, right? And like, it's just, it kind of pulls at your heartstrings, man. It kind of does, the fact that he missed out on having that fantastic relationship with his brother that we saw that they had at a really young time, right? Whether that means I'll meet you in another life and maybe we can give this another try. Maybe it's the idea of them eventually, after all this is done, maybe both their souls will go someplace, and wherever they live, maybe they'll give it another shot and have a better relationship on their second outing, if you will. So I just found that really telling that he would have loved to have his brother have heard him or passed that message down to him. So I do hope that Juru and King Orden at some point in time get to have a conversation about Garza. But I also love his other line in here where he says, the purpose of my life is something I will forge. And he said that in episode number 42, but it really hit me, episode 43 last week, but it really hit me even more in here. You know, the idea that he is taking this stance in here, the idea of Emperor Yodon not going to be the one to sort of dictate how his life sort of is told when it comes to history, right? The idea that you really pretty much controlled my life up until this particular point in time and made me who I am. But at the end of the day, now that I'm free, I'm going to forge something for myself. I'm going to go out the way I want to go out with nobody controlling me. So I love that line of the purpose of my life is something I will forge now. And I just thought that was pretty brilliant and a really fantastic way of getting back at Yodon by allowing, him sacrificing himself and staying alive to help Juru so that he can go ahead and take down Emperor Yodon. I'm a sucker for redemption stories, guys. I truly am. And I just thought this one was absolutely brilliant, guys, to be perfectly honest with you. But listen, at the end of the day, though, guys, I definitely want to know your thoughts in regards to episode number 44. Look at this, guys. I had this freaking thing all ready to go, and I didn't even post it up at all. So, I'll keep it up at least because we do have some live viewer questions for you guys. And I did have a quick honorable mention for Kakihara, Juru's girlfriend, to say the least, or the girl that's interested in him, because we did see her very briefly in here, still very much a zombie. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into some of these live viewer questions for you guys before we wrap up. This is from L'Oreal. Question: Geez, oh Rosie, it's kind of shocking that the finale is next week, huh? Or as Takamichi would say, wonder shock. Yeah, I do love that. Yeah, it's crazy, man. All good things must come to an end, right? I mean, I feel like this season just breezed by. It was so fantastic to certainly take in. I feel like I don't really have too much negatives to really talk about this particular season. I've just been enjoying it that much to where I blink and I look up and I'm like, oh crap, episode 44 review already. It's pretty crazy to think that we're almost at the end, unfortunately. You also say the Rangers sure were in over their heads with the Emperor, didn't they? Yeah, they definitely were. I don't think they certainly expected Emperor Yodon to certainly be as powerful as he certainly was. Clearly they thought that the Granterstones, clearly I thought that the Granterstones were powerful enough to go ahead and take him out, and they certainly were not. And I'm glad you brought up that question too, because I'm very much under the impression that Yodana, even though she had what seemed to be a fantastic death sequence in here, looks like she may, in fact, come back for episode 45. I didn't watch the entire preview for the season finale, but I did see a brief clip or a brief second of it with her still alive. So I was kind of surprised because I felt like this episode kind of did her a little bit of justice in regards to having her have a really great death. The fact that Emperor Yodon immediately kind of starts looking to her as the weak link, right? The idea that he finds it fascinating that they transformed his form back into Yodana to go ahead and take advantage of that. That her no longer having those abilities or that power level, right? So he's like, I find it interesting that they change it into you in an attempt to try and strike me down type of thing, right? And immediately Yodon just knows, yeah, you're the weak link in here. But I love their dialogue. Like, their dialogue was fantastic. And again, it goes to show you just how much of an asshole Yodon is. The idea of her saying, literally crying. We don't get the opportunity to see Yodana crying. So when she does cry, she continues to have that battle of learning human emotions that we've seen her kind of pick up on all season long and things like that. I don't know if this is the time where I cry type of thing. And I love the fact that Yodon comes in and he's like, no, I'm pretty sure this is the part where you laugh, right? And again, hearkening back to Yodana laughing all those times. What Takamichi, or I should say Tomitomo, wind up sort of teaching her when she wind up coming on board, sort of thing, and her giving her last sort of bit of chuckles, if you will, before she died. I thought it was a really brilliant outing for her. So I can't lie, when I did see a little bit of the episode 45 preview, I was a little bit taken aback that she was still alive or coming back. So we'll see how she's certainly handled going forward in here. And a couple of last comments. You have Carantula's redemption was just as cool as Garza's. Yeah, I definitely agree. Always, again, working alongside with Juru, right? Her special connection buddy there. And you also say, sure, the Rangers failed at first, but their plan to use the Granterstones was pretty dang good. Am I right? Yeah, I definitely agree with you. As much as the plan did fail, I thought it was absolutely brilliant that Tomitomo came up with a really solid plan, I think. You say, I still can't believe we got one episode left. I will miss them all, especially my Juru, so gonna need more tissues. Tons and tons of tissues. Yeah, we probably all will at this particular point in time, L'Oreal. But guys, one episode left, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys are ready. I don't think I'm personally ready, but we'll see how this season winds up wrapping itself up. Listen, if there's moments in this episode that I maybe didn't cover or I might have missed or whatever the case may be, whether it be characters, storyline details, and plots, go ahead and continue the conversation, not only in the live chat, but in the comment section box below after this particular video winds up airing. Because as always, these are just my A+ opinions, but I always want to know yours, ladies and gentlemen. So go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. Other than that, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for us here. We will, in fact, be back next week for you guys for Toku Tuesday for the finale of Kiramager. So definitely go ahead and join us then. And of course, we will, in fact, be bringing you guys reviews for Zenkaiger as well. So if you are looking for a home for your Zenkaiger reviews, do us a big favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and of course, if you love our content, that big like button goes a long way, guys. Smash that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. But other than that, guys, do yourselves a favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And until next time, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Kiramager change!